My name is Wisehead, and I'm a nail head. Now, just like a nail, I've been hit on, bent but not broken, and put in all kind of dark and tight spaces. Just like the homeless, I symbolize the homeless population. Foxes, birds, cats, and dogs, even they ain't got a place. That's what makes me mad. Dreams turn into nightmares, junkies tripping off the view. A view from one to four. One life-giving creative spirit. The oneness of all. In other words, we in this together. Two, duality, the dual nature of human beings. Two kind of people in the recovery zone. Those that should be here with their support services, the others just passing through. Three, the three modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. The three major religions to spearhead the effort and form the 4 points of the compass. Universality. Make it universal. I'm a nailhead, strong as steel, the glue that holds things together. The foundation on which you stand. I'm a nailhead and I'm homeless in my mind. Standing in place and marking time. Or in this journey going nowhere. Riding on a train going in circles. In the language of dreams, things are never what they seem. Are you one of a kind tripping off the view because you're homeless in your mind? Standing in place and marking time. Homeless in the city of angels. Angels without mercy, it seems. You care more about your animals than your fellow human beings. Now, at one time, the cats and dogs lived in the streets, and the boxes and alleyways was their home. Now they flipped the script. The cats and dogs live in the houses, and the people live in the boxes and alleyways. How did that happen? You think it's right for the animals to live in the houses, and the people to live in the streets?
Do you have any extra change, miss? Do you have a quarter, a nickel, a dime, a penny? No, I do not, sir. I do not have any. Well, do you have a pair of shoes, miss? My feet are frostbitten, they're sore and bare. No, I do not, sir. At least, not that I can spare. Well, do you have a coat or a blanket, miss? It's cold out here at night. No, sir. And besides, that's not my problem nor my plight.
My name is TJ Ba. First name is TJ, T-E-J-A-Y. And my last name is Ba, B-A-H. And this is my writer, Andrea. Andrea, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Andrea Ross, and I am the author and also actress in the piece called History Lesson. It was the first piece to premiere here at the first annual Nesona Short Play Writing Festival, and I was honored to be the first one.
I know you wrote this. Tell us more about it. What inspired you to write this piece?
The inspiration came from wanting my young black children to know more about their history, from Africa to President Barack Obama in the White House and all stops in between on the civil rights journey. And I find that children learn better when things are in rhyme, like a poem. So I constructed the whole play to be in poetry.
Oh. So what's your plan after this festival? Where do you see this piece going?
Well, September 2nd, they're having another festival in Leimert Park at the Vision Theater, and this play has been asked. I was honored that they asked me to put it in and submit it for their upcoming festival, September 2nd at Leimert Park. So, Vision Theater, I'll see you there. So, I've actually been a member of Drama Stage Qumran since March of 2010. Melvin has brought me a long way, and I appreciate everything he's done for me. My growth is tremendous, and today today I'm on Melrose at the Moments Playhouse Theater. So there's growth for you.
You know, I'm honored to be in your piece. You know, it's a privilege and honor to be in your piece. I'm so excited. I'm so happy about it. And to be part of this Nesona play reading.
I'm Pauletta Oliver James, the writer, playwright of Pecans on 131st and Lenox. And it was, I submitted this play to Melvin Johnson and to Bill White to be included in their Nesona Shorts Play Festival for 2017, and it was chosen. So we've been in rehearsal for the last few weeks, and it was very rapid. You know, it was a really fast process. And today is the last day. It was July 28th through the 30th at Moments Playhouse in Los Angeles. She has a very, very exotic African name. Yeah, I just keep it with Dele. We've become really good friends. And Dewan Christopher. And I met them both here at the theater. And actually, I wrote the play thinking of Dele as Zabet. And so when I wrote the play just a few months ago, actually. But I saw her in another play of Melvin's, Catch a Tiger. She played Marcus Garvey's first wife. And so I loved her performance in that play. So when I was writing the play, the role of Zabet, I was thinking of Dele.
Oh, cool.
You know, and she accepted this role, and she loved the play. So I was so happy, because I felt if she likes it, then it has to be somewhat good, you know.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's a play about two people.
What year it took place?
Oh, in the 1920s.
Okay.
And it takes place in Harlem. And I chose the street 131st and Lenox because that was one of the most densely populated areas of Harlem, densely populated by Black people. And so I wanted to write a play about a woman that leaves her southern life, and life and employment and family in pursuit of an acting career in Harlem. She wanted to perform. She wanted to be an actress, and she wanted to perform in an Oscar Micheaux movie, Body and Soul, that was starring Paul Robeson. And so she was after a dream. She came to New York after her dream. About the lynchings, because the lynchings in Quesada were very, very horrific. And so when I discovered that, I didn't want to just ignore that part of history, but I wanted to weave all these different elements into my story.
And what do you think about having an opportunity to show your play here?
Oh my God, you know.
And there are not too many places, are there?
I don't think I know of too many. I mean, first of all, we weren't charged anything to do this. But you know, I know Melvin and Bill very well. And so they allowed me to do some of the set design, or like I brought in the clothing. I bought the dress for Zabet, and she loved it when I saw it. It fits her perfectly. She fell in love with the dress. So I was telling her I'm going to start a production company, The Girl with Dresses and Stuff. That's going to be the name of my company. We started laughing because she's like, where do you get all this stuff? And the jewelry, and then I had to do research about how did the women dress in the 20s. Although I had an idea, I've seen enough stories at The Great Gatsby, but I wanted to see something like that with Black people, and especially Black women. So being a woman, a female playwright, a Black female playwright, I wanted to incorporate something, those elements, you know, the beauty of the times, and a woman that, you know, for maybe the first time in her life, she had been like a mammy in Louisiana, and so now she's in New York, and now she's going to, for the very first time in her life, she has an opportunity to purchase and live with the fineries of life.
Okay, I would like to introduce Felix, another playwright here.
Great, thank you. And
Speak up, Felix.
I'm Felix Rosales. I wrote House of Sticks, and it has three characters. A young woman who raises money for a homeless shelter, and she's giving a tour to the shelter's biggest donor, who's thinking of giving a gift of $500,000 to expand the shelter. So she's on this tour, and midway through, it's interrupted by one of the homeless clients named Bertrand Ogilvy, who is a character and a half. And he was formerly an architect in real life and found out that this woman was coming, and he had done some homework and research on her. So he was hell-bent on being there just to see what she looks like and also to confront her, because it turns out that she made her money in the fashion industry by having her clothes produced in Bangladesh.
Slave labor.
Yes, basically slave labor. And you find out in the play that he's really angry with people who abuse young children, especially young girls, and you find out that it was a mistake that he made as an architect that caused the death of his young girl during the Northridge earthquake.
Well, let me ask you, what does this Playhouse mean to you in terms of the opportunity to present your work? I noticed you had a lot of friends in the audience and so on. What does that mean to you as a playwright, finding a place?
It's really, it's like lifeblood, or the breath of life for a playwright, to have actors read your work, because it's otherwise, without the actors, it's just a piece of paper.
Hi, I'm David Datz. I played Bertrand Ogilvy in the play House of Sticks, in which I played a very sarcastic homeless man with who's out on the streets because of a tragedy that happened in his life. And I am extremely mean to this woman played by Helen Duffy here, Mariah, who is a very generous donor, even though she may have her faults. And here's Helen.
Yeah.
Do your whole name, Helen.
Helen Duffy. I don't think Mariah has that many faults. I think that your character has a lot of faults and doesn't take responsibility. Although by the end of the play, I think he kind of is taking more responsibility for his actions. Yeah, it's a play about a homeless shelter. My character is going to give them $500,000 for an expansion to add 20 more beds. And I had worked on this play with Felix at First Stage. Felix Rosellis, who is the playwright. And I am a member of First Stage, which is a development group, similar to the kind of thing that Nesona is doing. And Bill White is also a member of First Stage. We did this play several years ago. It was developed in our workshop. This is my first time working at Nesona in this playhouse, and with David, although I've seen David's work.
David's character, he seemed to be 2 or 3 different people.
Well, I think he was well educated and just crazy out of his grief and disappointment in his life, and unwilling maybe to take the responsibility for his daughter's death. It certainly crushed him.
And so David...
Well, I mean, she's very generous, but she has earned Mariah has earned her fortune by doing some unscrupulous things. She's a professional do-gooder. She salves her conscience by doing nice things for people after doing nasty things to other people. Plus, actually, the other character here...
She seems like, but it's just business.
Yes, it's just business for her.
So it's not just one-sided.
So she won't cop to the exploitation.
But you both enjoyed...
It's business.
You both enjoyed this play.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
And I enjoyed working with the cast, and it's a lovely... The whole group here at Nesona is lovely.
Yeah, Helen and I got a pretty good rapport, I think.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to leave you here, Helen, and we're going to close out on the other part with the telephone, which you did also, right? Mike.
Debrief.
I play a man whose son is out on the street. I think it highlights that a person can come from a very good family and then because of mental illness or substance problems can still end up on the street. And he calls me once a year on this payphone, and along comes this homeless guy and interferes with the call. The payphone's not going to be available. And actually, the way I was working on Phone Booth, the way I was thinking about it was that I actually know this guy. because he says some things that don't make any sense. And the only way I could logically, in my mind, make them make sense is that, okay, he's a little addled, but I know him. And you may have noticed, I tell him I have a cousin with an odd name, Crodoc Ignatius. He is Crodoc Ignatius as far as I'm concerned. He's that guy. He just doesn't know it because he's, you know, which is why I invite him to stay at my place.
Why didn't you invite your son?
I will, but he only calls me once a year. I don't know where he is.
It seemed like you were unable to take that step. And who's this play by, George?
Yes, George Corbin wrote Phone Booth.
It seemed like you were personally unable to make that step, but he took it for you?
No, he kept me from answering the phone. I mean, he had to, it was something we had to work out, and because I told the director, I said, I'm going to fight to get on that phone, but Jonathan's bigger than I am, and he stiff-arms me, and that works.
Well, I want to thank you both very much. I enjoyed this whole series. I look forward to seeing you both again. When are you scheduled to play in another play?
I'm going to be in a reading of a new play, a staged reading at the Roby on August 29th. It's called Birdland Blue, and it's about jazz musicians, real people, Miles Davis, John Coltrane, and some others, and I play the blood-sucking, exploitive club manager who takes it.
Let's do the full intro to the Roby Theater Company, Danny Glover, and
well, the Roby was founded by Danny Glover and Ben Guillory. I have never met Danny Glover, unfortunately, but I know Ben. And it's a very good theater. They operate a company. They operate out of LA Theater Center downtown. And I'm pleased. Actually, I met Melvin and William through my first experience with Ben. I was fortunately recommended by somebody else to fill a part where he'd lost an actor. So
thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Hassan Jamal, and my play is called Dark Comedy. I wrote Dark Comedy in the middle 90s, and we did it at a small theater, and we got good reviews in the weekly back then, and then I put it away. And then I found out about this theater here with Melvin and Bill, and I came running. So I'm trying to do.
Tell us a little bit about the play.
What Dark Comedy is about? It's about a hero of mine. Paul Robeson and Lincoln Perry, a.k.a. Stephen Fetchit, they would have never read for the same role. Well, Paul Robeson meets Stephen Fetchit in the outer office of Louis B. Mayer. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Lincoln Perry, a.k.a. Stephen Fetchit, he was born in Chicago. He was a well-known reporter for the major black newspaper in Chicago when he was younger, and he came out here, and he took what a lot of people consider subservient roles, and he took a lot of them, and he got well known at them, and he got good at them. And a lot of people will probably remember Lincoln Perry because he had a bald head, and he shuffled his feet, and he talked real slow, and white people loved it, especially racist white people, because it made them feel safe. Made a lot of white people feel safe.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Dewan Christopher, starring in Dark Comedy by Hassan Jamal. I portray the role of Stephen Fetchit and Lincoln Perry. For those who don't understand, but Stephen Fetchit was a man who was slapstick, so much like in blackface. He was a person who was vilified for playing like the Sambo character. But also on the other token, he was an intelligent black man, and his name was Lincoln Perry. He was a journalist for the Chicago Defender. He was the first black millionaire in Hollywood who had a mansion in Beverly Hills. So he was an astute individual, a guy who was compromised for whatever powers may be, but he was a very complex individual, and I was very thankful to portray him here at Moments Playhouse. And beside me here, this beautiful, strong, intelligent black brother, Lamont Young, who portrayed Paul Robeson in the play.
Definitely. And what the contrast between Paul Robeson's character and Lincoln Perry's character, it just shows the dichotomy and the dynamics that black culture had to operate in during those times. There were different stereotypical roles that we had to portray in order to be able to navigate through whatever career choices we had. You had to either be like Paul Robeson, upstanding, eloquent, well-spoken, not abrasive, non-intrusive, or either you had to be as Stephen Fetchit was, which was the exact polar opposite, which was more lackadaisical, for lack of a better word, and very unassuming. And basically what Paul Robeson represented for us was, and what he was someone that was more of a liberator of peoples. And
Black masculinity.
Yes, definitely. He was very much so about African politics, African people consolidating their power, their strength, and just black people in general, the diaspora of black people in general. Paul Robeson was about the liberation of them.
And in closing, the contrast between the two of you seemed real contrast in the first, but as time went on, we realized we were both on a similar level.
Exactly.
Just close with that.
Right. So in the beginning, it's established that there was a contrast between both of us, but we also know there's two trains running into the same direction, and we end at the same point, politically, socially, culturally, and economically. And so if you had a chance to see this play, you would see all that come to fruition, that you can see this strong, proud black man, and you can see this so-called sellout, whether he is or not, but you see they're at the same confined place at the same time under the same circumstances.
And operating within the same constraints. Operating within the same constraints.
And finally, where are we?
We're at Moments Playhouse on Heliotrope here in Los Angeles, California. Come check us out.
Please do.
And we were directed by the great Bill White.
Hello, my name is Aaron Stahl. I played a character written by Hassan Jamal in dark comedy directed by Bill White. My character's name is Evan, and I play an assistant to a major studio, movie studio director in Los Angeles during the 1950s. It was a different time. It was more acceptable to be racist as a white person. I guess that's maybe one way I could say it. It was more acceptable to be less sensitive about certain things, most things, and in that lack of sensitivity, there's a lot of aloofness and just culturally being unaware. And hopefully, that's how I came across. Maybe some resentment too, in the way in which that I was being informed of how I was coming across to the characters that my character meets. Historical figures, Lincoln Perry, also known as Stephen Fetchit, and Paul Robeson. A reason why my character exists in this story, it allows the audience to see the personalities and the characteristics of Lincoln Perry, and his change between Stephen Fetchit and Lincoln Perry when addressing me, and then when addressing me under different circumstances throughout the scene, as well as how grand, wonderful it is to be in the presence of Paul Robeson, at least how my character feels towards him, and how he's able to affect me in certain ways to kind of play onto my naivety or my white sensibilities, I guess you could say.
He knew the game.
He knew the game.
Well, this was a great interview.
My name is Aaron Stahl, performed at Moments Playhouse, directed by Bill White, written by Hassan Jamal, and co-stars were Dewan Christopher and Lamont Young, and they are phenomenal actors.
Okay, well, so in closing, what would you both like to say briefly in closing?
Well, I would just like to thank Bill and Mel and yourself. I know you do a lot of work here, and the whole production team here, and just for doing this It's hard for big theater in Los Angeles to get a foothold. There were a lot of these black boxes around LA in the 80s and 90s, and I did a lot of work in them. And thank God, maybe they're coming back.
Produce this, and a lot of times you don't know other people involved. Where's Arlene? Come on up. Arlene took care of your reservations and did everything. And a lot of times, people in productions are never recognized, and we would really like to recognize Arlene. Thank you for coming. Thank you for supporting us, and good night.